Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. It's what we do here every Sunday on the channel. And today I'm flying solo on this one. I'm going to talk about a very cool band who it appears are no more, but they have a nice handful of albums that they released during the period from 2001 to 2016 from Savannah, Georgia. I'm talking about Kylesa. Highly influential band on the kind of sludge metal, stoner metal, psychedelic metal scene. Founding members Philip Cope on vocals and guitars and keyboards and bass, and Laura Pleasance on vocals, guitars, bass, and things. Both founding members put this band together back in 2001. They both share vocals and guitars, so you get every album has got both of their stamp all over each of them. Carl McKinley has been on the drum kit since 2006, not a founding member, but appears on many of their albums. And then various people kind of coming and going over the years on drums and bass and things like that. But as of 2016, when I guess they called it a day, that was basically your trio along with some help from other people. And they've got 7 albums. And I'm going to rank them in the order that I like them. You know, this is a band name always, when I first started to get into this whole kind of like sludge metal. The people, for those of you who keep asking, Pete, what is sludge metal? I don't know if I know what that is. Sludge metal is basically this head-on collision between like kind of punk, hardcore, and doom and stoner, kind of hits in the middle. Elements of both become something new. Some sludge bands are very extreme. Some take it from more like a technical perspective, just to give you a little kind of frame of reference. First couple of Mastodon albums, right? That's basically sludge metal before they became much more of a progressive metal band. Neurosis, that sort of thing. That's kind of sludge. There's many other bands you could even call like High on Fire sludge. So basically just the meeting of doom stoner and hardcore and punk as well. And in many of these bands also throw like a progressive prog technicality aspect into it as well, which this band does at times too. This band also incorporates lots of psychedelia in their music, so there's lots of psych elements going on throughout some of these albums, not all of them. So like I said, I've ranked them as I like them, and I've got all of them except for one on CD, and that's my number 7, the debut album Kylesa from 2002. So this particular album appeared on Prank Records. It's really short, 32 minutes long, total sludge overload. You get their basically all their punk and hardcore and stoner influences are hitting you like a hammer on this particular album. It's pretty frantic, it's brutal, perhaps for me a little bit too far into the hardcore and punk style for my taste. That's just me, though. I know a lot of people who love this album, but there's no denying the energy on songs like Ceaseless Becoming, the big riffs of the Scarab, Point of Stillness, just absolutely menacing. Testing the Good of Man shows a little bit of their psych leanings, which would start to pop up later on quite a bit. You got Dream of the Freedom to Come is so brutal, noisy, chaotic. I mean, this whole album is very, very brutal, and very dissonant, angry, chaotic. There's no clean vocals anywhere on this album. They go from more of these kind of like guttural bellows and screams and things like that. It's not death metal growls. It's more of, like I said, like coming from a hardcore standpoint, right? I could see some people watching this who are not into the more extreme styles of music probably not liking this album at all. But then again, I know there are people that love this and say they never were the same after the first like 2 albums. And but this album specifically very, very different from the rest of the catalog, although the second album is not that far removed. To me, I prefer their later stuff, as you'll see going forward, as this one is just a bit too out there, a little too much of the screamo vocals. Kind of starts to grate on me after a while. But, I can appreciate the musicality and the energy of it all for sure. So on to my number 6, I'm going to go with their second album, To Walk a Middle Course. From 2005, the band's now on Prosthetic Records. Definitely more varied than the debut album. Here you got Laura Pleasance singing more, Yet the opening track, In Memory, is a total crusher. Total crusher. Laura and Philip both adding in vocals, lots of big riffs, acrobatic drumming. The drumming on these albums is absolutely terrific. Brandon Baltzley is on drums on here, and he kicks off Fractured. His drums are absolutely intense on the beginning of that, and then you got this raging riffage, back and forth vocals from Laura and Philip. Train of Thought slows things down to kind of like a sludgy, doom-laden crawl, big riffs. Philip, tortured, screaming, bellowing vocals. Motion and Presence, hard-hitting track, again featuring both on a harsh vocal attack. Laura's not really doing the clean stuff yet. That's soon to come. You got the noisy psych rock of Welcome Matt to an Abandoned Life. You get Bottom Line. That's very much like a punk song. Eyes Closed from Birth. Very proggy. Nice little intricate guitar stuff going on there. Shatter the Clock. That's totally wild. You got these dissonant riffs, screams, intricate drumming, and then you got the big, massive Phantoms, which combines doom and psych. So heavy. Probably my favorite song on here. Both singers participating in that one. The riffs are just absolutely gargantuan. And then you got Crashing Slow, which closes down the album in kind of psych fashion. Another album full of raucous music, but I think the seeds of what Kylesa are mainly known for going forward really happening right here. So that's my number 6. Number 5, I'm going to go to 2006 for their third album, also on Prosthetic Records, and that is Time Will Fuse Its Worth. Band now sporting 2 drummers. Sure, why not, right? We're going to do the Allman Brothers and Doobie Brothers thing and have 2 drummers. Not a lot of metal bands do the 2-drummer thing, right? You got Laura and Philip still leading the charge here, and both, doing mainly the harsh vocals on this album once again. You got What Becomes an End is this pile-driving sludge metal opener, really good. Hollow, Severed, totally punishing. Just crazy song. Where the Horizon Unfolds has a few minutes of kind of like psych atmosphere, and then all of a sudden the heavy guitar riffs come in. Great groove, great intensity. A lot of bottom end on a lot of these albums too. I've got to mention that. Between Silence and Sound, another psychedelic sludge fest. Probably my favorite song on here. Really good one. Identity Defined, absolutely crushes. Ignoring Anger starts off with this piano. But don't be fooled. Just when you think you're getting lulled to sleep by the piano, man, the extreme bombast comes around the corner and just absolutely pummels your eardrums. It's crazy. The Warner, Barnstormer, sick riff, or the Warning, not the Warner, the Warning. Sick riff on that one, pummeling drums. Another one of my favorites on this album, which I think is a just brutal experimental album, but it continues to see their transition into where they later would become. And you got a cool little song called Outro on here, which is basically a drum solo with the 2 drummers, which is pretty cool. Kind of cool to hear that, but although why they saved it for the end, I have no idea. But yeah, cool album. Definitely a good album. On to number 4. I'm going to go with 2015, their 7th and most recent album, maybe their last, Exhausting Fire. I love that cover art. This is on Season of Mist. Their last few albums were on Season of Mist after leaving Prosthetic. And again, this one is mainly the trio that I mentioned before. Okay, except here you have Jay Matheson guesting on bass on most of the album. The opening song is called Crusher, and it's exactly that. And here you have Laura's angelic vocals over this kind of bombastic metal sludgy music. What's really interesting as this band started to evolve after the first couple of albums, which I've already talked about, her voice, and she still occasionally does the more aggressive vocal styles, but she's got more of this kind of like Debbie Harry from Blondie thing going on, like this ethereal kind of poppy, atmospheric type of thing. And at times, as the music is continuing to evolve, it's almost like you got Debbie Harry from Blondie singing for like Neurosis or even Nebula. Craig Kaminsky, if you're listening, some of the more recent albums I think you'll really like, because it's very much kind of like that spacey, stoner, sludgy music that Nebula has done. But and she starts to sing more as the albums go on, as I'll be talking about soon. And it's almost like it's like this weird mix of like Blondie and Nebula, or Blondie and Neurosis. I know that may sound strange, but it works really, really well. And that particular song, Crusher, you got this nice balance between big riffing and trippy psych, which is really cool. And it's one of my favorite songs in the catalog, period. Just go check out Crusher from Kylesa. Really, really good. Inward Debate, big doom-laden monster. Love it. You got Philip and Laura both singing. Moving Day kind of has a weird little gothic metal flavor to it, which is really strange. You get a little bit of that on this album. Big riffs, orchestral keys, and you got Philip's kind of very gothic, anguished vocal style, right? It's a little bit different from some of the vocals he does earlier in the albums. Lost and Confused, again, has a little bit of gothic flavor mixed with sludge and stoner rock. Really memorable, heavy track. I really like it a lot. And it's one of my favorites on the album. What else? Shaping the Southern Sky, groovy, heavy, catchy. Another favorite here. Really like that one a lot. Laura, again, doing that kind of like Debbie Harry thing, and it really works. You get the creepy and atmospheric Falling, Night Drive, lots of electronic, almost industrial elements, kind of strange. Again, they're really experimenting on this album. You got the Haunting Blood Moon, another excellent song, great dual lead vocals, big driving riffs, loads of atmosphere, screaming lead guitars. Then you got Growing Roots, which is big and heavy, more of that kind of like bottom end I've been talking about that's all over the place on these albums. Big riffing, ethereal vocals from Laura, kind of floating over the top of it. You get Out of Mind, which is, again, kind of gothic, but also psychedelic. And then you get to, it's weird how the last song that they would record on an album or put on an album is a really creepy psychedelic cover of Black Sabbath's Paranoid. Now, those of you who know me for a while know I'm not the biggest fan of that song, of Sabbath's Paranoid. It's an iconic song for them, but it's not one of my favorite Sabbath songs. And you know how I don't like covers where people do an exact replica of the original. This is like not at all a bare. I mean, once you start listening to it, you're like, oh shit, that's Paranoid. But it's so different, and you have her like kind of like weird ethereal floating vocals over the top of this kind of like droning arrangement. It's very psychedelic, very odd and creepy and eerie. Really good stuff. Gives Paranoid like a completely different spin. So yeah, really eclectic experimental album. I like it a lot. I guess it's their last album. We'll see. It's been a number of years now, but all words you hear is that they're pretty much done, which kind of sucks, but all right, number 3. A lot of people might rate this as their number 1. I see when I went kind of looking to see how other people rate these albums. Static Tensions, their 4th album from 2009. I believe this cover art is by the guy who does the artwork for Baroness, their singer, guitarist. Prosthetic Records still. Again with 2 drummers on this one. Opener, Scapegoat. Starts over the drum solo. And then the chaos begins. Very cool song. You get the frantic Insomnia Forum, however the hell you say it. Insomnia 4 months. Something like that. You got Philip screaming vocals going up against Laura's more ethereal style. Drums are intense. You get the brutal Said and Done. You get the piano, which kind of, they love dropping piano in every now and then, which kicks off the slow and kind of doomy Running Red, which has some kind of little proggy bits in it, as well as some more kind of big, damaging, crushing riffs on it as well. Running Red also has some prog stuff going on in there. They're really starting to incorporate more kind of intricate arrangements and things like that. What else? Nature's Predators, more killer riffs. Almost Lost is very, very memorable. A little more standard song structure on that one. Perception is killer, so bottom heavy, absolutely pure headbanging fun. Really like that one a lot. And then a lot of little psychedelic elements going on in that one too, right? So they're really kind of mixing it up starting here. And Laura's vocals are absolutely great on there. Only One has some really cool kind of like, I mentioned Mastodon earlier in Baroness, has really cool kind of like widdly prog metal guitar lines that kind of permeate in the whole song. Very, very cool. To Walk Alone, cool slow builder of a track. You got Laura's intoxicating vocals. then all these massive guitars and bass come in and tribal drumming. Really cool stuff. Really good album. Really intense. I can see a lot of people, like I said, picking that as their number 1 or 2. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Because to me, the top 3, the top 4, they're all good. For me, the only album that doesn't really do a lot for me is the first one. I like all these other ones quite a bit, but they're kind of different. Number 2, I'm going to go with Ultraviolet from 2013. Their 6th album, Season of Mist. Now the band, you got them playing all sorts of instruments on here, right? So they're not just I'm singing and playing guitar, I'm playing bass, I'm playing drums. Everybody's playing a little bit of everything. And here you have Laura taking on more of a vocal presence on the album, and she would do that going forward. So you kind of hear her more than you hear Philip. But it kind of started on the album I'm going to talk about next. But Exhale, weird, trippy, but really heavy. Opens up the album. You get Unspoken is creepy and unsettling. Go watch the video too. The video is very bizarre. Very cool song though. Grounded is just a crusher. It's a killer riff and Laura's haunting vocal style. Really good song. We're taking this raucous, more extreme like the early stuff. Long Gone, psychedelic but big bottom end. Big riffs. Laura's trippy vocals once again. You got the real memorable What Does It Take? Very catchy song. Steady Breakdown is very doomy. It's got some lovely vocals from Laura over big crushing riffs. Again, another favorite on this particular album, Steady Breakdown. Go check that one out. I like that a lot. Low Tide, again, trippy, psychedelic. You get Vulture's Landing, which is fun and playful. There's lots of riffs going on here, but man, Laura's vocals are so quirky. Again, it's that whole Debbie Harry Blondie thing, right? I love the combination of that vocal style and this kind of big, chaotic, sludgy music. It just works really well. And then you got Quicksand, which closes out the album, and that's Philip and Laura exchanging vocals. Lots of synth. You got theremin on here, big booming riffs. I think it's an excellent, excellent album. Cool cover art too as well. Do I have a picture to show you? Let's see. Not sure if they include photographs of themselves in these albums. Yeah, that's very, not too often. I'll check on the last one too. My number 1, and by the way, this is an excellent, excellent album. Ultraviolet, but I think it's shadowed just a little bit by 2010's Spiral Shadow. More cool album artwork. Season of Mist as well. Is their first for Season of Mist. This is the 3rd and last album with the 2-drummer combo. They would do away with it after this, which, kind of a shame because I think it kind of was very unique for this style of music. You got Tired Climb as the album opener. Again, love her trippy, kind of fun, quirky, pop, atmospheric vocal style. Going up against, Phillips, kind of more of a stoner rock or metal bark, right? Kind of interesting. The riffs are crushing. Another one of my favorite Kylesa songs. Great album opener. Cheating Synergy, big punishing riffs with kind of proggy, Mastodon style lead guitar things kind of popping up all over the place. Very cool. Dropout. Again, it's got that big stoner riffing going on, trippy psychedelic elements, both singers being used perfectly in this one. And then Crowded Road is just doom-laden sludge. Just heavy, monstrous. And it's got these cool, kind of Middle Eastern bits going on throughout, which is something they don't do on any of these other songs, on any of these other albums. Very cool. Don't Look Back. Ultra melodic and catchy, though it's real sludgy. You got this weird kind of floating post-rock on Distance Closing In. It's like you got Laura's kind of quirky vocals just kind of swimming around these swirling riffs and drums. It's really cool. To Forget's another good one. Got Forsaken, slow, bruising. Title track is just prog and psychedelic rock. Just love it. Love the dreamy vibe of it. Really cool song. And then, right in the middle section, you get this big, heavy, crushing barrage, which kind of takes you out through the song. So it's one of those songs that kind of changes course midway. It starts off one way and then kaboom, right? Really cool. And then Back and Forth is kind of punky and crunchy, right? And then Dust is the closer. And that to me has got Nebula and Pink Floyd elements all over it. Very, very spacey. I think this is a real strong album. Dig it a lot. I just, again, the top few, there's not a lot that separates them. But I think from start to finish, this one just kind of works for me more than the others, I think. Yeah, no band pictures anywhere. But you got some, kind of desolate looking stuff, right? So yeah, so that's my ranking for the great Kylesa. Like I said, highly influential band. A lot of people really dig them. Never really made much of a huge impact on the mainstream scene, probably because their music is not mainstreamy at all. But very cool stuff. So if you are a fan, rank them as you like them down in the comments below. If you're new to them, like I say, if you like more extreme stuff, check out the early albums. If you're not as big an extreme metal fan, but like stoner, prog metal, sludge type stuff, certainly psych, heavy psych music, and prog, check out the later albums, right? That's kind of my best advice for you. And if you have gone and investigated after you watch this, come back, let us know what you think of some of the albums you listen to. That's how it works here. So thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell to get alert of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, get the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, and our Cameo page. Thanks in advance, as always, for all your support, and we'll see you here next week on Ranking the Albums. We've got another good one. Ryan Scow and Count Ralphus from the Hudson Valley Squares are both joining me. We're going to rank the catalog of German thrash legends, Sodom. Long awaited, long been asked for. A lot of albums. We're going to get through all of them. That's coming up next Sunday, so stay tuned for that. I am Pete Pardo. Get your ranking list ready, and we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.